My name is Algimantas. I live in a small East European country, Lithuania. I'm ambassador of Creator. Creator is just in an absolute spiritual unity made up of four personalities, four sources and centers. The Paradise Trinity, I am. I am is always written in capital characters. And I'm also apostle of Jesus and his partner, Nebuchadnezzar. The spiritual ranks of the latter two, Jesus is a master creator son, and his partners, creator daughter. I've been conferred a mission to train spiritual teachers by Creator himself and by Jesus and his partner, Nebuchadnezzar. Therefore, I represent them on this planet and to this planet. At the request of Creator, I set up the only living religion bearing the name of Creator, the Paradise Trinity, I am, living temple and religion. In general, when I use the word living, I mean truly it's living without any outer material ritual. We worship Creator as four persons and personalities, but we don't perform any material ritual. We open up our spiritual personality, which is within this material and visible to our eyes human form called a human body. So this spiritual personality, once open to Creator in depth, it is just natural that material eyes are closing. You don't see anybody and anything around. You are in a spiritual submerge to Creator himself in spirit. Creator himself has no any outer form, be it spiritual or material or meronchial. Meronchial, it's a new term for humanity. It's the form that we will be given as spiritual personalities after resurrection to go on to proceed in our journey to paradise, the dwelling abode of Creator himself and our native home, which is in the very center of the whole of creation. In other words, Creator is focusing his energy vibrations on paradise, which is in its turn the geographic center of the whole of creation. Creation is circling around paradise. This sky, and there are 7 skies of similar size, they're circling around paradise. They are all living Even though there is matter, intellect, spirit, but it's living matter as we see around us, like, say, the surface of the planet, well, also emits certain vibrations, energy vibrations. Even the nucleus of the planet is erupting on the surface once there is movement of the crust of the planet's surface. And this is the cause of earthquakes. So the hot pressure, the heat from the nucleus of the planet is having an enormous power, enormous force that is pushing by pressure, by its pressure, pushing enormous burning masses, material masses, just out of the nucleus. And therefore, in some places where the density of the planet is smaller, there appear eruptions of the so-called volcanoes. But this is the fact that the planet, even though it's material, but it's living, it's having its own vibrations, its own pulse. On the other hand, beasts, animals, birds, they might even change their position. They might move. They are also living, but they have a certain life category which is higher than the solid mass of the planet. They have consciousness. They might be unconscious and conscious. When I say living, I also mean that there is one more living category of life: personality. This applies only to us, eternal sons and daughters of Creator. Even though now enveloped in and by this visible material outer form. But this living and eternal spiritual entity is the gift to each of us by Creator. Therefore, our personality is also eternal. And it has an additional gift from Creator that is not available to beasts, animals, birds: free will. Well, you may object to me that, look, beasts might also change their movement direction. Birds might also change their flight direction. That's true. But they are basing their living on instincts and experiences they accumulate. We, spiritual personalities, we base our living not only on instincts, but we might base our living on Creator Himself, which is spiritual, invisible, without any form, but which is indwelling us because He has bestowed His Spirit upon each of us, upon each of us as a spiritual personality. Therefore, we might begin to distinguish ever deeper and ever higher what is goodness and what is evil, what is good and what is bad, what is moral and what is immoral, what is right and what is wrong, what is eternal and what is temporary, what is from Creator and what is from our different whims and passions. This is not possible for a distinction to animals, to birds, to beasts. Nevertheless, the planet, all life, all this environment is interconnected into a living system of the whole of creation. Our planet is not abandoned just to be the only one and like an orphan. It's truly, wisely controlled, supervised from above. We have a spiritual supervising our evolutionary development, spiritual government, which is led by Mekhaventa Melchizedek. Mekhaventa Melchizedek, even prior to the appearance of Jesus, 2,000 years prior to Jesus' coming to our planet, was making the way for his appearance by trying to expand humans' mind, that they would look upon this planet not as an isolated place full of sorrow, sadness, suffering, different military conflicts, clashes, and even evil forces. But that is the planet of light and life, in potential, of course. It is possible just to feel Creator, who is much more powerful than all this planet, than all the life on the planet in different forms. And definitely, it's more powerful than a human being, which being seen by by the material eyesight. So all this is living in one living creation system. By system, I mean that everything is interconnected. Like we humans on this planet, we are also interconnected. We are not isolated because we are all brethren of one and the same Creator, the Paradise Trinity I Am. It might sound to some of you incredible. Nevertheless, it is a fact that you are not yet experienced, because there were no previous generations who might have tread on this living path, so that their living generation upon generation would show the outcome of such a life in brotherhood with one Creator as Father and Mother to the whole of humanity, to the whole of creation. So of course we have any previous generations to leave us spiritual teachings, to leave us the direction of our living in the current moment, in the current generation, in the current humanity. Therefore, humanity is like a vessel without navigation, and in an overcast night, being absolutely at a loss, disoriented, being unable to orient itself which way to sail to reach a shore. So that's why I don't want to go into details to explain you the causes of the current situation. But I want to attract your attention that we are not abandoned by Creator. As I've mentioned before, there is a planetary spiritual government being headed by Melchizedek, who has accumulated the material living experience on this planet, as he was visible for people, and he was known for people as a wise man from Salem. But he is invisible to us now. He has risen back to his original spiritual rank of Melchizedek, and he is now leading the spiritual planetary government. Therefore, for us, it's very difficult to see the manifestation of God around us, as we have not had such spiritual teachers who might expand our understanding, our focus on the broader context. So that's why I was also conferred a mission by Creator to train spiritual teachers, and I've been doing it for over 30 years already. I've received plenty of revelations, teachings from Creator himself. I'm trying to attract your attention that spiritual sources currently are available, and the sources that have never existed before. Never. Just imagine such a light, bright light. First of all, the revelation, which is called the Urantia book, and which is called even the fifth epochal revelation, because the previous revelations, the four previous revelations, were the first one 500,000 years ago, when the planetary prince Caligastier and his 100 material assistants arrived on the planet. So they started human education on the planet, how to deal among different waging among themselves tribes, how to deal in peace rather than in waging tribal wars. So he failed his mission, unfortunately, as he joined the revolt against the Father, instigated by Lucifer and his deputy Satan, the two leaders of our local system, which has the name of Saturn local system, Satania. The second revelation was the arrival of the material son and daughter, Adam and Eve. That was almost 40,000 years ago. Unfortunately, they failed their mission. The third revelation was Makiventa Melchizedek, 2,000 years prior to Jesus arriving here on the planet, as he was born as a helpless babe out of the material woman's womb. And the fifth revelation, the epochal revelation, is the Urantia book, the text of 2,097 pages, plus 50 pages of two contents. This is a collective body work of different spiritual ranks, of different personalities. It's not a human mind, but this information about Creator, about creation, about mind, soul, spirit, matter, about interrelations between mind, matter, and spirit, different divisions of different local universes, and life within the local universes, and our journey to paradise, right from this planet up to the very dwelling abode of Creator himself. And this is our destiny, bestowed upon our planet, upon all humans on our planet, to reach Creator himself on paradise and stand in his immediate presence. So this is the destiny. As Creator has commanded us, be perfect even as I am perfect. And he is leading us from within by using his own fragment, his own spirit, which is called thought adjuster, and operating in our mind, but trying to open up the bright side of this mind. That is the spiritual side of the spiritual personality mind. Unfortunately, due to the lack of spiritual teachings, our spiritual personality mind is dormant, is deeply asleep, is in a deep spiritual slumber. And we are working every day, but using our mind, which has the animal origin, which is full of fear, full of different vices, like greediness, like covetousness, like desire to dominate, to crush others, to wage wars, aggressive mind, impatient mind, lacking wisdom, lacking cosmic insight, which is peculiar to the spiritual personality, divine mind, which is now only in potential rather than being actual, that is operating, acting. So therefore, once I was born of the Spirit, and once I lost all my vices, just instantaneously, all of them, they have been swept away. And my bright and spiritual personality mind waked up to action. And I was overfilled with love, with mercy, with patience, tolerance, wisdom, cosmic insight. So all these traits of my personality are also potential in yours, as they have been bestowed by Creator Himself. And it is wonderful to be free from this immense burden, heavy burden of the vices that are tormenting man's mind, consciousness. It's so wonderful to feel spiritual freedom within. And then you might act in an absolutely different way in your own environment. And this is the transformation that comes instantaneously. But the efforts, conscious, sincere, should be taken every day, and without even realizing as to what end they might lead one, without knowing this result, because there is no experience and there is no visible spiritual teachers around. So that's why I want to make people not only happy, joyful, full of energy and life, but also that they would open up their spiritual personalities in their true living life, living light, rather than in their poor existence. Even though this existence might be in plentiful of material wealth and physical power or political power or mental outer popularity, as some pop stars or actors. I want to help you open up as spiritual personalities. But in this case, it's a big challenge to your mind, because you have been taught in every religion to perform only rituals. You have not been taught, either in Islam or Christianity or Buddhism. By the way, Buddhism is closer to some extent to spiritual living path because they have meditation. But meditation is a certain relation with the universe, which is not creator as a person and personality. It's the arena of operation of creator as a personality acting through his sons and daughters. And by this, it becomes the manifestation of creator himself through these sons and daughters of creator. So in this case, Buddhists, they, to a certain extent, experience some, I would not say nirvana, I would say just a pacifying of their mind, but for a short while. But they don't experience love, because for this you need to discover creator, the source of love within. As I've mentioned before, once I was born of the Spirit, I was filled up with enormous love, so that I started weeping. And I was feeling such a warm feeling within. And I called it a spiritual nuclear blast within me. I wanted to run out of the room and shout, I discovered him. I want to show you this very same him, my beloved creator, the Father, now the Mother, the aggregate deity I am. That's a wonderful, magnificent experience that has changed my life altogether. Therefore, I've been conferred the mission to train spiritual teachers, as I know what is a spiritual teacher without any material ritual to point to. He has to point to within, to each sister and brother in spirit. that each of them would discover Creator himself, but discover within. And material rituals make a block, a great obstacle in opening up your own true spiritual personality to your source and center. As you have been bestowed your personality by Him, not by your so-called earthly parents. They only reproduce the living form. But the life spark has come from Creator, not from the earthly parents. That's why I prefer calling them birth givers. Meanwhile, the parents are the only ones. The Paradise Trinity I am. And they are the parents for the whole of creation. Therefore, all personalities throughout the creation are brethren. And our earthly birth givers are also our brethren. But to change mental understanding of what is our mother, father, is very difficult. That you would look upon them as your spiritual sister and brother. But nevertheless, the fact is they are our brethren. And the father and the mother, our parents, are the Paradise Trinity I am. And this is true eternally. Eternally.